The story begins with a young woman named Selma, who lives in a small town in the United States. She is an immigrant from Czechoslovakia, alone raising a son named Gene. Selma works in a factory where metal sinks are made, and though the work is hard, she does her best to provide for her son and save money for his future. Selma is a quiet, modest woman with a good heart, and although her life is full of hardships, she keeps her faith in the best and even finds comfort in the musical numbers that play out in her head when reality becomes too hard. Selma suffers from a hereditary disease that is causing her to gradually lose her sight. She knows that her son Gene will inherit the disease unless an expensive surgery is performed to prevent blindness. This is the main thing that drives Selma. She saves every penny, puts aside every paycheck to save the necessary amount for the operation for her son. She is ready to sacrifice everything to give him a chance for a normal life, which she herself is losing because of her illness. Selma lives in a trailer on a piece of land owned by Bill and Linda Houston, who have become close friends of hers. Bill is a local police officer, a seemingly caring man who, however, hides his financial problems from his wife. He opens up to Selma and confesses that his family is on the verge of bankruptcy. Suddenly discovering that Selma is saving money, he decides in desperation to take advantage of it. Bill asks Selma about her money, but of course she doesn't reveal that she's doing it for an operation for Gene. She tells him it's personal. One day when Selma returns home after work, she discovers that all her savings are gone. She knows that no one but Bill could have found out about the money and stolen it. In desperation, she goes to Bill and asks him to return the money, but he denies taking it. During an emotional conversation, a fight scene occurs between them, and Selma accidentally kills Bill in self-defense. This becomes a terrible turning point in her life. She has killed a man she considered a friend and now must pay for this crime. However, another important thing for Selma is to get the money back so that it is not wasted. Despite the shock and horror of what she has done, she takes the money and decides to continue her plan to pay for Gene's operation. After this incident, Selma is arrested. She finds herself in prison awaiting the trial that will determine her fate. The trial turns into a dramatic spectacle with everyone against her. The prosecutor portrays Selma as a cruel and calculating murderer who planned and committed the crime in cold blood for money. Her devotion to her son and all she has done for his well-being is presented as a mere cover for her greed and callousness. Selma is convicted and sentenced to death. She finds it hard to accept that the world that was so simple and clear to her has suddenly become so unfair. But even in this hopeless situation, she finds solace in music. In her imagination, she transforms the gloomy prison walls into scenes of musicals, where she sings and dances her way out of the cruel reality into a dream world where all is well and fair. Selma's friends, including her co-worker and friend Kathy, try to help her. They write appeals to lawyers, but all in vain. No one believes in her innocence, and society is not ready to give her a second chance. Even in prison, Selma stays true to her plan. She doesn't let anyone interfere with her plans to save Gene. She asks Kathy to see to it that Gene's surgery is done and not to give him the news of what happened to his mother. The closer Selma gets to carrying out her sentence, the more effort she puts into making sure her money goes towards the surgery for her son. She worries that her sacrifice may be in vain, but she manages to give Katie the final instructions. Kathy vows to do whatever it takes to fulfill Selma's wish and provide Gina with the future she has been hoping for. In her final moments, Selma continues to sing. It is her way of escaping the pain, the fear of the inevitable, and the terrifying reality. She doesn't give up on her dream, even when it's over. In the final scene, Selma is led to her execution. She sings her last song, despite the screams of the guards who demand that she be silent. She sings all the way to the end, until the noose tightens around her neck. At that moment, the music in her head stops and the world falls into silence. Selma's story is a tragedy about how love and self-sacrifice can be the cause of death, about how injustice and society's cruelty can destroy an innocent person. She gave everything for her son's future and ended up losing everything she had, including her own life. But even so, Selma stayed true to her ideals to the very end, and though the world was unfair to her, she left behind hope for a better future for Gene.